picks it up again.
A lot of people will be shocked to know that my favorite Disney princess growing up, it was Ariel, no lie.
I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on.
Disney's two princesses are making headlines, but not for reasons you'd expect. On one side, we have Halle Bailey, who deeply respects and admires the iconic role she brought to life. On the other, there's Rachel Zegler, who seems more interested in rewriting the classic fairy tale to align with her own modern perspective. Their starkly different approaches to their roles have ignited a heated debate, and it looks like Bailey isn't holding back when it comes to calling out Zegler's attitude. Zegler's portrayal of Snow White has been the talk of the town, but not in a good way. She has openly dismissed the 1937 classic as outdated, calling Snow White powerless, and even labeling the prince as stalker. She admitted to watching the original movie only once and made some bizarre comments about Disney's iconic Scary Adventures ride, further proving that she deliberately distanced herself from the film's legacy. So, is Halle Bailey subtly shading Rachel Zegler for her take on Snow White? Let's break it all down.
The fact that I wanted to learn how to swim and be in the water all the time.
Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it.
Rachel Zegler's approach to Snow White has left fans outraged. Instead of embracing the beloved fairy tale, she's pushing for a more woke, live-action version, one that ditches romance entirely. In this take, Snow White isn't dreaming of true love or waiting for a prince. She's all about leadership and self-reliance, supposedly inspired by her father. At this rate, you'd think she was running for president. But no, she's talking about becoming the leader of the Seven Dwarfs. However, this so-called modern twist hasn't earned much praise. Instead, it's sparked massive backlash from fans who feel she's completely missing the point of the classic story.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago.
Truly felt like I was breaking out of my shell.
Meanwhile, Halle Bailey couldn't be happier with her role as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Unlike Rachel Zegler, Bailey took a completely different approach, one rooted in love, nostalgia, and admiration for the character. She has spoken fondly about how Ariel inspired her from childhood, even fueling her love for the ocean and motivating her to learn how to swim. Rather than criticizing the original, Bailey embraced Ariel's adventurous spirit and determination, adding her own unique touch while staying true to the story's heart. For her, this role was a dream come true, and her portrayal feels like a true celebration of the character's legacy. Fans and critics alike have praised her for proving that modernization doesn't have to mean erasing what made a character beloved in the first place. But let's be real, Disney isn't the powerhouse it once was. For nearly a century, it ruled family entertainment, delivering magical, heartwarming stories that captivated generations. Now, the fairy dust seems to be fading. Instead of uniting audiences, Disney appears more focused on pushing divisive agendas, and the numbers don't lie. Box office flops are piling up, and if things keep going this way, the magic carpet ride might be coming to an end.
The fairest of them all, who's put up against Gal Gadot, and somehow Gal Gadot is jealous of Rachel Zegler, and you've got a story about the search for true love that's no longer.
Take Disney's animation game, for example. Once the undisputed king of the industry, its dominance is now being challenged by studios like DreamWorks, which keeps delivering hit after hit, movies people actually want to see. Even Disney's biggest acquisitions, like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, have turned into more of a burden than a success. And now, the latest mess, Snow White. This live-action remake is shaping up to be one of Disney's biggest disasters yet. Originally set to release earlier, the film has been pushed to 2025, but the delays are the least of its problems. Criticism has come from every angle, and let's just say it's not looking good. First, there was the backlash over Disney's depiction of the Seven Dwarfs. Even Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage didn't hold back, slamming the studio for completely altering the lore. Disney was already treading on thin ice, but leaked set photos made things even worse. The so-called dwarfs looked less like a high-budget production and more like a low-budget high school play. And then there's Rachel Zegler, the face of this remake. Instead of winning over audiences, her comments have done the exact opposite. Remember that infamous D23 event? She practically disowned the original Snow White, calling it outdated and dismissing the idea of true love altogether. Her version of Snow White is all about leadership and self-empowerment. Cool in theory, but it has completely alienated a massive chunk of the fanbase. Social media erupted, critics piled on, and even conservative outlets like the Daily Wire jumped into the chaos, announcing their own anti-woke Snow White alternative.
Yep.
That's happening.
And what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning.
Meanwhile, Halle Bailey is out here winning hearts as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Her approach? The complete opposite of Zegler's. Bailey embraced the role with love and nostalgia, constantly sharing how Ariel inspired her as a child. She didn't trash the original or try to rewrite it. She built on it, celebrating Ariel's adventurous, curious nature while breaking barriers in her own way. And guess what? Fans loved it. Zegler, on the other hand, has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And honestly, the irony is hard to ignore. If she's so against the original Snow White, why take the role in the first place? That's the question fans keep asking. Instead of honoring the legacy of the character, Zegler seems to be actively distancing herself from it. And when you compare her to Bailey, the contrast couldn't be clearer. One feels like a celebration, the other like a critique. But this isn't just about Snow White or The Little Mermaid. It's part of a bigger trend in Hollywood that's left fans divided. In recent years, there's been a massive push to reinvent classic stories with a modern twist. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the time it feels forced. The charm, the magic, the timelessness of these tales, it gets lost in translation. Let's be real, fans aren't saying every princess needs to sit around waiting for a prince. But there's something to be said for preserving the heart of these stories. Nostalgia is powerful. People miss the days when fairy tales were just that, fairy tales. Magic, adventure, a little romance. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And judging by audience reactions, the message is loud and clear.
Audiences have responded in their droves. In fact, the trailer has broken records. More than 1 million people have disliked it on YouTube, making it one of the most hated previews in cinematic.
With all eyes on Snow White, Disney finds itself in a tough spot. The delays, the backlash, the controversy surrounding Rachel Zegler, it's a mess, plain and simple. And on top of that, Disney is trying to balance two completely different audiences, traditionalists who love the classics and a younger crowd looking for something fresh. That's a nearly impossible tightrope to walk. If Disney isn't careful, Snow White could end up as yet another soulless, CGI-filled update, technically impressive but completely forgettable. And for a story as iconic as Snow White, that would be the ultimate failure. So, what should Disney and Rachel Zegler have done to avoid this disaster? Honestly, just respected the original story. That's it. When you're adapting a beloved classic, the formula is already there. Follow it, honor the legacy, and let the magic speak for itself. Look at Halle Bailey. She wasn't considered a perfect choice for Ariel by some, but she embraced the role with love and respect. And in return, she won over audiences. Meanwhile, Zegler has managed to alienate millions of fans simply by dismissing Snow White's legacy. The result? Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid may not have been flawless, but it captured hearts. Zegler's Snow White? It's already facing mass rejection before it's even hit theaters.
You keep using the word outrage. No one's outraged about this movie. People are laughing at it because it's a joke. It is a combination of everything bad about modern movie making. You've got...
The real question is, can Disney rediscover its magic? Or are we looking at a future where even the most beloved fairy tales lose their charm? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, fans won't forgive any blunder that disrespects the original lore. We've already seen the fallout. Over 1 million fans flooded YouTube to dislike the Snow White trailer, making it one of the most hated trailers in film history. So, what do you think of Rachel Zegler's take on Snow White and the controversy surrounding her comments? Did her attitude completely tank the movie's PR before it even had a chance? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Snow White and other Hollywood projects making waves. See you in the next one.